So, hi everybody, my name is Jenny. Welcome to Miami Lit Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, James Roan, Miami-based artist. So, you are a local. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's James Roan, future leader of the next generation, and I am on Miami Lit Podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. So let's get into it.
Yes, definitely. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first name is James, last name is Roan. This is actually my real government name. I was going under a different alias for the first half of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 27 now, but I've been doing music since I was 15. But for the first 6 or 7 years, I was going under a name Democracy, but I felt like that was a little too one-sided.
Run of the mill?
You're right. So
yeah.
I was like, I need to change it to something that's not too complicated, but something that will make sense as well. And I'm like, well, James Roan, which is my name, what's wrong with that? And I feel like it's just better for branding purposes.
Right.
Like even just seeing the name and my nameplate and my logo, it just looks like some kind of brand. You know, Jay-Z is a brand.
Right.
You know, so that's why I'm like, I think for the long term, even after I'm done with music and I want to dabble in other avenues, the James Roan brand will be able to make it a lot easier for me to make those transitions.
That's smart.
Mhm.
So you're good at seeing ahead.
Yeah, that's how I was raised. You know, it's you live in the moment, sure, but
Right.
you always want to make plans for the future, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's true.
So
That's true. I mean, I love your name. If I had your name, because I feel like, did you notice when you made the transition to your name from Democracy that it was easier for people to connect with you?
definitely.
Yeah, I feel
Definitely.
like it's, like I see your name and I can see, okay, there's a person
Mhm.
attached to this name.
Right.
Whereas with Democracy, you're right. It's kind of like, okay, well, who's that? Like what?
Right.
It's kind of like creates all these assumptions about you.
Yeah, right off the bat, because
Yeah.
immediately you think of, which the meaning of the name was the definition of it: by the people, for the people. I made music for the people. I'm like, nah, that's corny. So I'm like, nah, I don't need that. So what I did was I changed it to that. And you would think, okay, now that I have my own alias, literally, even with online presence, Google searches, yada, 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 no one else has it. It'd be a lot easier. And then I found out there's some famous big time doctor in another state with the same name.
That's named James Roan.
Yes.
Dr. James
Yeah,
Roan.
Caucasian guy, older guy.
That is so funny.
And I'm like, what? So now I'm like, well, I'm thinking, all right, boom, I'm going to have my own identity online. They search me up. It's going to be easy. Oh, no, MD, medical licensed doctor, James Roan. And I'm like, come on, man.
Well, there's two of you, one taking care of the physical body and then you taking care of, the mind and your artistry.
Right. There's another James Roan, too. Yeah. Another is Caucasian guy in Florida that does carpentry work and building walls and doors and stairwells and all kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I actually know him.
No way.
Yeah. And his son's name is Nathaniel Roan. Baby. He's an infant.
Oh.
My uncle's name is Nathaniel Roan.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah,
like
it's
the universe is filled with all these
I know. I didn't think so.
mirrors almost.
I know.
That's so cool.
But it's the best decision I could have made. Changing the name in just like a year's time, I made more progress in 1 year than I have in the previous 6 or 7.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. So,
And all just being yourself.
literally.
Like you're not living behind this persona or, this just name that's supposed to carry you.
Right.
It's just you.
It's just
That's
easy.
awesome.
Yeah.
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 That is so cool. So you mentioned that you were raised here in Miami,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
How was that?
It was a good experience being from a big city. You have insight to a lot more things than let's say being from the countryside or
Mhm.
things like that. My family is actually from Georgia,
Oh,
and Georgia is
cool.
a lot more country. So being from here and then taking trips to Georgia when we have family reunions and things like that, you kind of see both sides. But I feel like, especially, and I'm a 90s baby, so in my era, in my childhood, it was a lot different than it is today. But we were
Yeah.
still exposed to a lot more things early on because we're in a big city. There's a lot of different there's a lot of different attractions and events and just a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of money being poured in the city and things like that. So Super Bowl events and just everything. So it was nice to see certain things and experience a lot of different cultures too. I think that's an important thing.
That's what I loved about growing up here too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could live in other different big cities, but I feel like Miami's its own special bubble.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we know New York is diversified and, you know, London, and there's so many other cities that are diversified. But I feel like here's just so special. Like, you know, your neighbor can be, you know, British, and then your other neighbor's Cuban.
Right.
And your other neighbor's Jamaican.
I know.
And then you go across the street and you grab some, like, you know, French food. It's just so much. And you all get to, like, experience and get along and enjoy.
Yeah, because that's what it's all about. You're supposed to, it's kind of like you have some people like me. My goal is to travel. I want to travel abroad. I want to travel to other countries. One of my favorite sports other than boxing is tennis. So I always wanted to go to like the Wimbledon and like the Roland Garros French Open and things like that. But you have some people that just say, nah, I don't care about traveling that much. They never travel.
That's a shame.
But being in a place like here, it's almost like, well, there's so many different cultures of people. It's like, and so many things to do.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't hurt if you don't. We encourage everyone to travel, but if you don't, it's like, well, look at where I'm at.
I think that's a good point. And it also probably adds to that appreciation that you have for traveling. Because you grew up around, you know, all these other cultures. You know what you... like where you're going. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. So how did you become an artist?
I grew up in my childhood being around older folks in my family. So, and when I say old, I mean like older. So they were listening to like all kinds of stuff, Teddy Pendergrass and Luther Vandross and Daryl Hall and Hall and Oates.
Yeah.
Just a lot of different stuff. So Whitney Houston, Shaka Khan. But what got me into music was listening to a lot of Tupac, Nas, things like that. So I decided, like, you know what? Well, if these guys can do this and make music this good, telling their own story, then I mean, why can't I? I can do the same thing. So, you know, I started doing music. I wrote my first song at 14. I didn't record my first song till 15. Doing it in my bedroom on a little, and this is so funny, like the headphones like these, but with the little mic on the side. Yeah, just, you know. And then eventually I'm like, okay, well, I went under the first name, Democracy, and making music, putting out music and whatnot in high school. You know, but it just, everything is all development. You know, you don't start off being Jay-Z overnight. So I had time to develop, figure out who I wanted to be as a person, figure out what kind of music I wanted to make and where I wanted to go with my career. So that's where I'm at now. Made some changes, rebranded and whatnot, and developed and honed my skills. But that's where I'm at now. It was a fun process throughout, but now I'm a lot more serious and I feel like it's definitely time to take it to the next level.
Right. Yeah. What was that first experience like, writing your first song?
First song, I forgot what it was even about. Just a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
You know, at 14, what am I going to talk about at 14 other than like, you know, my parents grounded me in it.
No, I get you 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, because I think we talked about this before, you know, privately, that I was an English teacher. And one of the ways that I kind of like got reluctant readers and writers riled up was through music.
Right.
You know? So I'm wondering how, because it seems like you did it backwards. You linked writing to the music. Where in the classroom, I was doing it the other way around. I was thinking music to the writing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've always
been... So the fact that you did it on your own.
Yeah, I've always been a good writer, too.
I can tell when I listen to your album.
In middle school, see, when I was growing up, we had a test called the FCAT.
Yes.
And although it was a struggle for most of us, the writing portion, I've always gotten 5s and up. So it was a pretty easy transition. And I also wrote poetry too. So all it was just, okay, well, rap is rhythm and poetry. That's what rap is. So it's not hard to make the transition. All it is just finding the right kind of beats, the right type of production, making sure the BPMs match the flow and the delivery of what you're trying to get across and whatnot. So that's pretty much what it was. But I think it was good that you did that with your students, because music is the quickest and most influential way to influence anybody. Yeah, you got film and you got things like that, whatever, but to watch a movie, you need at least an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
With a song, all you need is 2.5 to 3 minutes.
2.5 minutes. And you learn, you learn everything.
And that
Rhythm,
can change your
flow,
mood.
metaphors, analogies. It's all in there. It's incredible what you guys do. Yeah, that was a lifesaver. It helped me tremendously. Right. And I know it helped the kids too.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's so cool that you, at such a young age, you were able to tap into that talent. Yeah.
Right. And well, ironically, a lot of people start younger than that sometimes, at like 9, 10. Me, I was like in my freshman year of high school, which is still young, but I feel like I went at a pretty good pace. I didn't want to, how do you say, max myself out so early. Right. Like I wanted to go at my own pace.
You knew it was gonna be a journey.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I need to rush it. Sometimes I went weeks without writing simply because I was, going through everyday things of life, working and paying bills, all of that stuff. Yeah. But I needed a mental break to see, okay, how am I gonna approach this next song, this next album, or what have you. Sometimes I would have beats that I would have for years before I do anything. But the key to that is making sure that production on those beats, it's not something that fit a style or a time that it was when I first got it.
I see.
So
it's kind of like timeless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a very weird way of making music, but we'll get to that soon.
Yes, I'm excited to talk to you about that. So before we get there, how would you describe your style?
I don't really have a style. I can do anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm confident enough to say I can do anything.
Right.
Mentally, I'm strong enough to say I can, if you need something for the car, I can make something for the car to get people hyped up and, a fun drive. If you need something for the club, I can do that too. If you want something you can sit down and listen to from an introspective point, I can do that too. So it's just many different styles. I feel like Drake, Kanye, they can do anything too.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get out of them.
Right.
So I feel like I'm the same way, but I want to add my own spin to it just from a lyric standpoint, because that's what we're missing nowadays, and especially in rap. So I want to be the one to kind of change the game when I do get to a certain level, and just let people know, like, okay, rap is fun and all, but there's an imbalance right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can be the one to usher in that new era of rap. I'm not saying I'm gonna bring back the Jay-Z and Tupac era, but there needs to be some balance. There's nothing wrong with having fun, but rap is rhythm and poetry, and we need the lyrics back.
I'm so happy that you said that, because I was having a conversation not so long ago. So I grew up in the 90s, right? So which you can say it's like the golden era of rap, So I remember rap being used for a higher purpose. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, some songs were just shocking or, kind of like will rattle you. But you understood that these guys were saying these things with a big message behind. And now you try to listen to modern rap and you're like, what the heck is happening? What is going on? What am I supposed to get out of this? And then I'm just like, okay, I'm getting old. It's like when your parents used to tell you, my generation had music.
Yeah. But it's not even that. It's just because in the 90s, everybody listened to it. It didn't matter if you were young or... Yeah. I know plenty of older people that used to listen to Snoop.
Yeah.
So it's not even that. It's just a lot of the stuff now, and I'm not trying to criticize or anything.
We're just making observations.
Yeah, it's just not, I can't really relate to it as much.
Yeah.
Even in the videos, my visuals, I'll probably never have a video where it's like, okay, You have fancy cars and bunch of jewelry
Mm-hmm.
and women and throwing money around. How many videos are we going to get like that? We already have 50 million artists doing that already. Give us something different. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people probably watch this and disagree. Like, no, keep doing what you're doing. It's fun. You know, we need music to take us out of our element.
Mm-hmm.
Working class people, we need music to listen to and take that stress off of our minds. Great,
Right.
cool. But that's not all rap is supposed to be either. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I feel like I said, it's just we need more relatable stuff, problems that we actually go through as human beings. People driving in Lamborghinis with $1 million in a duffel bag and all this jewelry on. That's not reality. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to be the one to say, hey, keep doing what you're doing, and I may even join at some points just to
Right.
have fun. But we need to bring real rap back, and that's what I stand for.
That's so wise of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it makes complete sense,
Mhm.
because if you look at music now, you're right, the lyrics are
Mhm.
missing.
Mhm.
The message. What's
Mhm.
the big message?
Right.
That call to action that rap was always associated with.
Right. Right.
That big idea that you're supposed to care about when the song ended. It's not there anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But I plan on bringing that back, so you heard it here first.
That's awesome. So I want to talk to you about, because we're mainly focusing on your music, but you have many talents. How does art play a role in your life?
Art plays a very big role because I actually, which I haven't done in a while, I used to draw as well when I was a kid. So I would draw, like facial, what do they call it? Like the portraits.
Yeah.
I used to draw anime characters. I used to draw a lot of different stuff. So I never took it too serious. It's just something I would do in my spare time when I would come home from school. So I've always had like a art type of persona. And they say those who focus more on art or have artistic talents, like you think with like the opposite side of your brain and things like that. So
Yeah.
I've always been that, drawing, poetry, and then eventually music. But it plays a good well because it allows me to be as creative as I can be and that I want to be. And it'll
Right.
always keep the ideas flowing. It never runs out. I'm always thinking of different ideas and ways to make my content and whatever I do unique, because that's what it's all about. You know, if you want to put out something, art can't be rushed, but you also want it to be unique as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's a lot to say for originality
Mm-hmm.
and how it's a process and how it takes time.
Right.
Because right now, especially in social media, we see someone does something that's, considered great or good, and everyone else does the same thing, which it makes sense, right? Like if it's working, of course, let me join. But at the same time, you want to tap into your own strengths, into your own talents to create original work. I think
Yeah, it's. I feel like with social media nowadays, which is nothing wrong with that at all. However, it's just like example with the TikTok platform. I don't have a TikTok. I plan on making one solely for my music because I feel like it's just kind of, for me, it's kind of like you said, one person makes a dance or a video with some music behind it, yada, yada, yada. Everyone does it. It creates a trend. It goes viral, boom. And then rinse and repeat.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you may have gone viral. The thing is that a lot of people won't know what to do when they go viral. All right, so great. You made a video. You made this. You went viral. You got 1 million views overnight. Now what? Where do you go from there? And that's where the planning comes in. But like you said, it's social media is we consume micro media, micro content. So it's almost like everybody wants everything so fast, and the attention span is a lot shorter now because of that. We want things that would take 5 to 10 minutes to process. We want all that in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's just how you perceive it. I try to stay off of the social media unless I'm posting or networking. But it's just about how you look at it. As far as that, I never really been good at like keeping up with trends.
Yeah.
I'd rather just not even indulge in it. And that's just kind of the kind of person I am. I hate having things even that everybody got.
Right.
It's like, oh, you you have the iPhone 12 whatever in this color. Nah, I'm gonna get the other color. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
hate having when everybody's doing something. I hate doing that. I just,
I can relate.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I wait till the hype dies down, even in just stuff like shows and whatever. Oh, did you watch Squid Game? No.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet.
I watched it, but I waited till everybody was done and then I watched it.
I'm still waiting. I'll
Yeah.
probably watch it in a month or so. Yeah. I don't know. It takes me a while to like warm up to things.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just, and that's not to say because everybody's on whatever it is at the time that it's not good. It's
right.
just, I don't know. I just have a very different way that I do stuff. And I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've never been good at trends. I've always waited. Okay, this album is super quadruple platinum and diamond. Okay, well, great. I'm going to wait until you guys are on something else. And then that way I can listen to it and draw my own conclusion. That way I don't have the influence of one person, 3 people talking about it in a room. Oh, this album sucks. No, it's great. No, it's a masterpiece. Now I have mixed feelings.
Right.
I'll wait till you guys are done. Then I can go
so you can have your own experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Influence is a very powerful thing, and social media plays a big role in that.
That's true.
So
that's so true. Why do you think music is so powerful? We kind of touched on that a little bit, but I want you to go a little more into it.
Music has been around since the beginning of time, even before it was able to be recorded. People made instruments, live music, making music out of anything. You can tap a pen on a desk or get a coin and tap the cup and make music. So it's a very powerful thing. This may sound kind of, but I even sometimes listen to music in like different languages. Like there's a Korean artist named Crush who I've been following for a while. And although there's certain points in his stuff where he says English words, but his music is so different, the production, the style and whatnot. And people might listen to this and be like, why are you listening to music in another language if you can't understand it? Music is a universal language.
Yes, it transcends everything.
The emotion.
Yeah.
Emotion has no language. If you're able to listen to something and you get the lyrics, you can hear the emotion in the artist's voice. You can hear the production, how it sounds, how it goes with that voice. So it's able to have a influence. That's why you're able to listen to certain sounds even without lyrics on it.
Right.
Piano sounds, guitar, violin, yada, yada, yada. And each one brings a different emotion behind it, depending on how the person performing it is playing it.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful and influential. It shapes our moods. It shapes our points of views on things, our mind states. And we're able to, like I said, have an influence on our entire mindset with just 2 minutes of a song in just 2 minutes, where sometimes you have to take an entire 8-week course to learn something.
Right.
You have to take an entire 2 hours to watch a movie. Some people take years learning skills, and it's not just skills, but it's just things in general. You can listen to a song and that one song could change your life.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone who's listened to music in their life has been influenced by a song or two or an artist. So I think artists have a very big responsibility on how they put out their message. So that's why it all comes down to going back to the rap game now and music in general. There's just an imbalance. I'm going to bring the balance back, and the influence is going to be at optimum level.
I'm excited. So. I'm excited to see all the wonderful things that you're going to do. Because if the new album is any example of that, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Who's your inspiration?
Oh man, it's too many.
Who do you look up to?
Too many to name, and it's not just artists either. It's historical figures, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, but also athletes. I love Floyd Mayweather. Guy's a genius.
He is.
Genius. A lot of people say what they want to say, but 1% of people have accomplished what he's accomplished.
He's incredible.
So,
And I think if you get past all the like hype media drama that's created for a reason, you can see the
the guy
genius behind
works,
this man.
and it's the genius and how he moves as an entrepreneur and as a businessman.
His work ethic
But
is unbelievable.
There's a reason why he never lost, and he's beaten the best fighters,
right?
You know, but he trained like a horse. So there's guys like him. There's other athletes. I love watching Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant and Roger Federer in tennis. Just a lot of different people, and then artists as well: Tupac, Nas, Aaliyah, Missy Elliott, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Jay-Z.
Right.
Even some of the current singers. I love Adele. There's a lot, and I draw inspiration from each one. So what I do is I basically take bits and pieces that I can learn from each person and apply it. Okay, if I have this person's hunger and mix it with this person's creativity and mix it with this person's sleep schedule. I don't know.
Yeah. I always say that you can learn something from anybody, you know, even if it's what not to do.
Right.
But if you have that mindset of what can I get out of this situation or this interaction, this experience that I can incorporate to make me better, you will find something.
And that's where I always, you know, come to where it's IQ. And IQ is not just taking the IQ test and saying, oh, well, I have a super high score, I should be in Harvard. No, it's not just that. It's not just an intelligence thing or a book smart thing. IQ is knowing what's good for you and staying away from what's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? So self-awareness, you know, exactly. And discipline.
And yes, that's the big one.
Yeah.
It's the one we all have issues with.
Yeah, we're human. You know, we get off track sometimes. You know, but it's all a part of the process. It's just a matter of how you come back from when you get knocked off course.
Yeah. That's the one that counts.
Right. Because you can go through anything. I've known people that have gone through some crazy life stuff, and you know, they were able to bounce back. And I'm talking like people who have had drug addictions, people who have been in prison for most of their life and different stuff. And as long as you're breathing, you always have a chance. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just finding a way to make it happen. Right. That's all. And it's hard because everybody want to be rich and famous. Everybody want to be successful. Everybody want to have $3 million in the bank, $10 million in the bank. Everybody want to have a mansion. Everybody want to have 6 Lamborghinis. But do you have any idea what kind of work it takes to get even half of that? Right. You know, waking up every day. And even though I might not record music every day, even though I might not film every day, I'm always trying to figure out ways, thinking, writing ideas down. Right.
Every single day.
Writing ideas down, researching, okay, this person handles that. I can reach out to them to get to this. Right. Boom, 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 mapping out ideas. Your mind has to always be constantly working. 50 Cent is another great example of that. Yeah. Got shot 9 times.
I know. That story is unbelievable.
Came out of that, changed his life, did music. Yeah. Had a diamond album, which there's only like less than 20 artists and since the beginning of time that has done that. And had
just the trauma that he got over, right? Like, can you imagine?
When you're at that level,
I probably wouldn't be able to walk outside thinking someone's going to come get me. And, you know, and he, even in his music, like you would think after going through something like that, his music would be so angry or, you know, just so full of the despair that he must have felt. But it's none of that. It's incredible.
But that just goes to show that you can't live your life dwelling on what has happened. Sure, you know, you let it be a part of your journey. But if let's say something happens to a person today, 10 years from now, you're not going to go to every seminar and every guest speaking panel and because this happened to me. No, man, you can't do that.
Yeah. But haven't you met people that really hang on to stuff?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And they hang on to it like it's a pot of gold, man. Like they will carry this for a long time.
They probably use it as, because I mean, I do that with certain things, but I use it as a inspiration to not forget why I'm doing this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm just every chance I get, I have to keep bringing it up as a constant reminder, because then you're going to sound like a broken record to people.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear that. They got their own issues going on. Okay, you've been through it, great, but guess what? You're up here now.
Right.
So you've been through that. From that time that happened to here, we've already heard the journey, how you recovered, what you did, what's the next. Okay, so now that you're at this point in your life, what's next? We want to hear you mature.
We want to see you grow. Exactly. Mature. Exactly. Because that's what we all want for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if we can see it in someone else, mm-hmm. it's kind of like that confirmation. Okay, I could do it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's all. It's all about growth. It's all about self-development. Right. So there is certain things I use as fuel to never forget where I come from. And I use that as fuel to get to where I want to go. And although, I'm 27 now, a lot of guys definitely take off, especially now, earlier. Mm-hmm. But I know that the end goal is going to be worth it. It's going to be worth the sacrifice. Nothing comes overnight. It's going to take a few more years. I don't know, maybe another 5 years. Who knows? Yeah. But it's going to be worth it, because I know I'm going to have a lifetime, and it's going to expand to different generations.
Divine
over time.
Timing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're paving the road for yourself, mm-hmm. which I think, and you mentioned earlier that everyone wants to be rich and famous. I look all these people that say they're artists, and you can see that all it is to them is being rich and famous.
Right.
Right. So I think the fact that you are wise enough to know this is going to take a lot of work, and I need to go down this road anyway, is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's just and we gotta hold ourselves accountable for things too. What I mean by that is this: everybody, there's a reason why certain people are where they at. And I'm not talking about the people that were born into riches or inherited this and that, and that's good for them, that their parents or grandparents or whoever worked their way to have that generation grasp that when they got of a certain age or whatever. I'm talking about the people who started out from nothing, ground zero, and built their way up, sacrificed. Everybody want to be a part of something or feel like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, but like Rick Ross said, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Like this podcast, I'm pretty sure you guys, like you said, it took years to get here. Mm-hmm. You didn't have 15 people pitching, hey, I see you're starting this. I know an area that you can rent out a studio space and you can set up. Hey, here's $5,000 to buy your camera equipment. Here's $1,000 to invest in your logo and your marketing and the LLC and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. I'm sure you guys didn't have a bunch of people doing that. You had to work. Yeah. You had to save. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just, there's a reason why everybody don't have $1 million either, because you got to think about it like this. Some people would get X, Y, and Z or amount of money, but they're going to keep that money and just do this. Right. Who are you helping? The only way you're going to grow money and multiply money is investing, networking, helping. You never know. You got some people that, they get whatever, and okay, you got all these cars and yada, yada. But I'm sure it's somebody in your family that can't pay rent right now.
Wow.
Boom.
That's true.
What are we doing?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's your money, you work to get it. But I mean, there's always ways to give back.
Yeah.
There's times where you have to say, hey, you know what? I got it already. Let me help somebody else. And it don't always have to even just be money. Mm-hmm. It can just be putting people in position.
Right. Just allowing them to fish, right? Not giving them the fish. You allow them to fish.
Right. Yeah. And you got people that withhold information even.
That's such a good point. Because I've definitely seen that. Like people know how to, they see you going to point A and they know how to get there, and they will not tell you like, hey, you might want to make a right or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they feel like you might be, since they're doing the same thing or something similar, that you might outgrow them. Who cares? Right. What if you get them to that point and they get there and they say, you know what, nah, I don't want this. There's too much shooting. Right. And you don't know. Your success has nothing to do with the next person. That's why I'm not afraid to say, hey, guess what, guys? If you have a smartphone, use your smartphone to film content and music videos and documentaries. That's working smart. We all work hard.
Use your resources.
Use your resources. You work hard to increase your skill set, to develop your skills at what you do. That's where the working hard comes in. But to, market it and to let people know about it and to establish it is where you work smart.
Right.
Working hard is hiring a camera crew and paying $5,000 for this super crazy BET VH1 quality.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you had a budget of $5,000 and you spent $4,500 on just a video, you don't have enough money to market it.
That's true.
You see, so it's all about using the right tools. In the last 14 months, I put out 11 music videos and 3 documentaries.
Wow.
You see?
That's a lot.
So when you go based off of the quantity,
yeah.
How much money do you think that would cost if I were to get a professional camera?
Oh my God. That sounds like it would be close to like what, $500,000?
Exactly. But I was able to do that with 11 videos and 3 documentaries.
Yeah. That's a big chunk of change.
So I was able to do that using my resources. But a lot of people, I don't know if it's an ego thing, if it's a pride thing. It's like, look, man, a lot of that stuff, a lot of people didn't even know. Mm-hmm. Hey, what camera you using? I use my phone.
Yeah.
Buy a little stabilizer gimbal. These movie cameras that cost $50,000 that they use in cinema motion picture films. And they got these little devices with the arms and a mechanical thing. You can buy those for your phone and use it the same way.
Yeah.
You already have the 4K quality.
Yeah, and we're at a time where all this stuff is accessible. You know? You don't need the $5,000 camera.
I know.
You have your phone. And eventually, if that's something you do want, you'll get there. But don't not start just because you don't have
Thank you.
the end goal.
Thank you.
You got to start at the beginning.
And I'm glad somebody finally understands that. Even music, even recording. See, and I feel like this is another thing that kind of hurt the rap game. And I even seen a rapper, Lil Boozy, he touched on this on another podcast. He was saying, back then you had to actually know how to rap. You had to have real skills. Right. If you were an artist in 2010 or prior to that, you had to go to the studio to get decent enough quality that now you're able to buy at Walmart and Best Buy for $300, and it's good enough to put it on Spotify and the major streaming platforms. If you were an artist, it's because you were actually putting in time and money back then. You had to go to a studio. You had to pay an engineer. You had to pay for marketing, yada, yada, yada. If you were doing a music video, the phones in 2010 did not have even half the quality as they do now.
Right.
So what does that mean? You had to either invest in a camera or hire a camera crew. You had to do all these different things to get to where we are now, where you can get all that stuff done in a day.
Yeah.
So when it's like that and it's accessible, it kind of decreases and now everybody's doing it, which is nothing wrong with that. But it does have an effect on things being oversaturated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, but the good thing is that you're able to do it now in an ineffective cost of, way,
right.
And being able to tell your story and being unique. If you're using these resources and you're being unique, there's nothing wrong with that. If you just want to have fun, great, who cares? But
and like you mentioned, now you can focus on your skills.
Yeah.
Whereas a couple of years ago, it was about everything else. Like, well, I don't have the camera. I don't have the microphone. Now, all you have to worry about is nourishing your skills.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the younger generations that see all the fame and the money and are attracted to it, as we all are to a certain extent? So, like, I know a lot of kids that will say, well, I want to grow up to be an artist. And you know the reasons why they're saying that.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I would say don't do things for the wrong reasons. And obviously it's easier said than done. Anybody could just say that. But, music, like I said, is a universal language. It has an influence. Okay, yeah, I want to be rich. Okay, but number one, what are you going to do to get there? Number 2, are you going to keep the work ethic and the drive alive? And number 3, okay, but my question is this. The music is going to be, what type of music are you going to make? Are you going to be these typical guys that's promoting X, Y, and Z?
Right.
That 10 years from now, we're not going to go back and listen to it because it only fit for that time. And when the trends and the era change, very few artists are able to transition through multiple eras. That is hard to do. Ego is a big part of that. Creativity and uniqueness is another part of that. Are you able to make the transition when the sound changes?
Right. And adaptability. True.
And
Also,
adaptability. You have to change everything, not just the sound, your marketability,
your look,
image, everything to fit with the new mode. Every 5 to 10 years.
we all see those 80s rock stars, right? Like they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're still wearing the same pants. I'm like, how the heck?
It's a different. Times have changed. It's a lot of things.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you enjoy,
yeah.
We're not criticizing.
Yeah,
but it just goes to show you how you said, like, there isn't a continuous shift with the times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And things are different. Even me as a kid growing up, my childhood was more in like I was a toddler in like the late 90s. I was born in 94. So my childhood was like in the 90s to mid 2000s, late 2000s. So even then it was like, okay, well, when I was a kid, we actually played with toys.
It's so funny because my generation is like, well, we played outside.
I was going to say that too.
You guys play with toys, but and now one after you is like, what was left for them? What did they do? They were on their phone.
We played with toys. We did go outside because we didn't have the social media.
Exactly.
And then even then, if there are kids that go outside, see, when we did it, we had to go over and, hey, can Chad come outside to play? You remember that, right? Yeah. Now it's like, oh, let me go on IG and text them.
AOL, do you remember the
AOL, Messenger, Yahoo Messenger,
Messenger,
and Yahoo Messenger too? I remember those days.
Yeah,
it's different. It's different.
It's different.
Yeah,
it's
That's why I say I think my generation, like, because I think the Generation Z starts in 99 or 98.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Something like it's either from 97 to 98, but I'm in 94, so I'm like that last part of the millennials.
You're the tail end of the millennials.
So I was born. I'm so grateful that I was born at the right time.
You caught it right on time.
That I was the last generation to have a real child. And that's not to say the kids now, please don't. The kids now don't have a real childhood. You do. It's just different.
It's so different from anything that anyone could have predicted, And parents now have challenges that I don't think have ever been faced before.
Because now you have to see, hey, the kid is in the room. What are they looking at on the phone?
Yes. You think your kid is whatever doing some game on their tablet, and yet God knows who is sending them a message.
Yeah, or they're online and they're hacking into somebody's thing.
Exactly.
Like, what the heck?
Like, parents never had to worry about that before. Man. It was all like, are you good? Are you healthy? Are your friends okay? Is your circle? But now your circle is worldwide.
You see, and it's so funny that, because I saw there's a show that my grandmother watches. I don't know if it's The Talk or something like that. Is it
the VO or the Talk?
I think it's The Talk. The one with, what's her name? I
feel like I know who you're talking about, but I'm so bad with names.
It's 2 guys and 3 women.
I think that's The Talk, yeah.
What's her name? Cheryl Underwood?
Cheryl Burke? No, Cheryl Burke.
Yeah, but
that's not it.
They had a segment a few weeks ago where they were talking about, and Kanye I love Kanye. That's my boy. He was going through some things with Kim on why their daughter, who's 8, shouldn't be on social media. Right. And I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Because my view on it is this: a child that young don't even know where their next meal is coming from. Mm. So why are you? And they can have video games and toys and tablets and whatever. Yeah. But they don't need to be exposed to all that stuff so young, because what that does, and you wonder why in this generation, a lot more, not to say they never existed, but there's a lot more, awareness for mental health, because it's more of it going on that you can't help. But at some point, it's going to break out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have so many people who look at these things. Hell, you have adults that look at this and they're like, well, man, she just got married and I'm not married yet.
Mm-hmm. It plays games with your head, you know?
Yeah.
Or you're at home having a quiet day and you open your phone up and you see 10 of your contacts or whatever. They're out, on a boat, on a mountain,
they didn't invite
traveling.
me.
And you're like, I'm such a loser. I'm sitting in my living room. And you forget to realize you chose that day to hang out in the comfort of your home, to give warmth to your home, to whatever the reason was. Or maybe you just didn't make plans.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that what you're doing is worthless.
This is why I say, and we're adults and we go through these. So what
Can you
do
imagine
you
a
think
kid?
that would do to a kid at such a young age?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what people got to understand is social media is not real.
Yeah. And just the idea of instant gratification. Like,
instant gratification.
boom,
it's just a virtual validation too. It's just people
and you
only
see them, or even us as adults. Like you're watching a video and you see that it's about to end, and you're already looking for your next one. It has to be that quick. Like not a second of emptiness.
Yeah. That's why I try to stay off of it in order to focus my mind and energy on other stuff. It's just people only post what they want you to see. Yeah, I go on there to, get my updates on, okay, did this team win or whatever, which I could go on Google and YouTube to get that stuff anyway. But just to see, just to get a laugh sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. We're human. We're supposed to laugh. But I feel like too much of anything is not good.
Exactly. I don't think it's all bad. Obviously, social media has been so helpful in so many ways.
Networking, everything.
It has revolutionized everything.
Yeah.
But like you said, too much of anything can be bad. I like to think of it as like the Wild Wild West. You know what I mean? Like when the Wild Wild West, when we decided to venture west, it was super exciting. It was necessary. We needed to grow. But it came with its challenges. And I feel like social media is the same thing. You got to be careful.
Right. That's all. It's just tread carefully. Yeah. Eventually I will make a TikTok because I have to. Yeah. In order to expand myself.
I don't think you can get away from that one.
No, I can't. So eventually it will be so funny if the one platform that I was doubting so much be the one to actually get me. Wow.
Okay, I'm not going to pressure you, but I feel like, in the near future, you need to get the TikTok going.
No, I have to.
I have to. In the next couple of days.
Yeah, I know. I was going to do it the other day, but I was caught up in some other stuff. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it to you when it's out, when it's made.
So now that we talked so much about music, let's start talking about your latest album. So Power Forward.
Yes.
That title is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you, where was that title?
So that album was initially thought about and created in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the album artwork was made by my cousin, Ryan Parks. He's a graphics designer. He made the album cover in 2015. That's 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. The cover and then the album name 7 years ago. The tracks, of course, I've changed over time because every few years the culture and the music changes.
Right. And you've changed.
Exactly. Had I put the album out then, it wouldn't have been as good as it is now. And that's why it's all about timing. But it's also good to keep your stuff creative so it can have a timeless effect. There's a song that's on the album that I made 3 to 4 years ago. And if I don't say that, no one will know. That's when you know something's timeless.
Which one is that?
That one is Patrolling, the one about police brutality. Mm-hmm. I made that in 2019.
Wow.
The rest of the album I made like in a week's time.
I've heard that a lot. Once people get in the zone, it's a quick process for them.
Yeah, I did it in when was this? When the lockdown first happened in early 2020,
That was
March.
March 14, I think was like our
Yeah,
official first day
and
here in
that was
Miami.
so crazy because although it's just, well, I think about it like this: most people who work on their jobs, they were on complete lockdown. I mean, everything was shut down. They were home for 2, 3 weeks, sometimes even more. I work at a dealership currently. That's what pays the bills, and that's what funds my music stuff currently. Um, we were still working throughout that whole time, but the hours were less. So what
Mm,
I was doing was I took advantage, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, instead of getting off at 6 or 4, or I mean 6 or 9, we're getting out at 2, 3, 4. So I left work, went straight to the studio, laid down all those tracks, and then in a week's time they were done. But I didn't
wow.
put the songs and the album out until a year later.
Right.
You see, so it's just the album itself, 6 years in the making. The recording, a year later.
It's so interesting how you're able to not give into that instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
because to sit on this for a whole year, like I don't think a lot of people can do that. They would want some, they would want it out there.
I know, but think about it like this: how long does it take, let's say, a mango tree to grow, or
Yeah.
doesn't it take years and years and years? But
Right.
guess what? Once it gets fully grown and those mangoes start falling, it's gonna be worth it, right?
Yeah. I always say anything worth having is worth waiting for,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and things take time
Yeah,
and hard
and
work.
with Power Forward, I knew I wanted to make it more aggressive than my first album. More
Right.
aggressive, coming off more like, hey, you know what? I know what I bring to the table. I know who I am. It's time to take what's mine. No more waiting around. No more being Mr. Nice Guy. Like, I know what I bring to the table, and I know what I want to do with music. And just the name in itself, it's a basketball position, power forward.
Mhm.
But I wanted to use it more of like a literal sense.
Yeah.
Like,
That's how
hey,
I took it.
right, whatever you're going through in life, power forward right through it. It's that
Right.
simple.
And I know you don't really have a set style, but what would you say the style for this album is?
So this album, I drew up I kind of mapped out how I wanted it to sound like, because I write stuff down whenever I'm creating a project. So it's basically like a few of my favorite albums. DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Mm,
Tupac, or rather Machiavelli's 7-Day Theory, Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor, and Jay-Z's 444 all rolled into one album.
wow.
So it
So those are
brings
all your inspirations
all
for
those
this one.
particular albums, those four,
Yeah.
rolled into one. It has some grittiness from one album. It has the introspectiveness from the other album. It has the political views and more social topics of the other album, and then it has the fun of the other album.
I see it now.
Yeah.
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 Now that you explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's tracks that touch on different stuff and different styles.
So talking about grittiness,
Mm-hmm.
use the N word
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
in your music. In this album,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen all the issues recently
Yeah.
with that word in in the media and just all over the place. Tell me about that. What do you think about
Yeah,
it?
see, it's there's different ways to use it. You can use it as a greeting. You can use it as a way of expressing yourself. From me and where I come from, because I grew up in some rough neighborhoods in Miami. I don't know if places like I even lived in Little Haiti one time, me and my mom,
Yeah.
and we had to move because they broke in our house, and they
Oh.
stole my little brother, who was an infant child at the time. They stole the baby's clothes. We lived down south. We lived in Liberty City, lived in Carroll City. We lived all over. So those places that I come from, I take my experiences and I'm able to tell those stories. And, not saying that represents me, but it's just, showing our way of expressing what
Right.
we go through in our
Right.
lifetime. So it can be used as in a fun sense as well. I'll never use it in a way to where I'm trying to uh, degrade anyone or anything like that. It's just a way of expressing yourself, and it's been going on for even in the golden era of the 90s.
Yeah, I remember having
Yeah.
that conversation, not me. I mean, like that being a conversation.
Yeah.
In the media, in schools, that was the big question,
Yeah.
but no one ever, at least, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the 90s, I don't think anyone ever lost their job or their reputation or their respect that they had garnered because of that word,
Yeah.
That's what feels kind of weird now.
Maybe I think what it is that because we live in a day and age where society is so sensitive to everything.
I think you hit the nail on the head, man.
I don't know what it is. I
We're
don't know
always
what
so
happened.
offended now.
Yeah.
And it takes so much out of you. You know what I mean? Like to always feel offended. It's exhausting.
And it now you have to feel like you damn near got to walk on eggshells. Like, man, if I just say anything, oh my God, I got to worry about it. Everything I worked for, I lose it for that. You know what I'm saying? Where the funniest thing about that is the people who are criticizing those that said X, Y, and Z on camera, on record, those are the same people that say it when nobody else is around with the camera. I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, you think so. I think so too.
You see? So it's like when you point one finger, 3 points back.
Right.
It's just that you just haven't been exposed to saying it or doing whatever it is yet. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of music from those times, and even when they said the word, I never felt bad. I never felt less of a person. It's just their expression of their
you
story.
Understand poetic license.
Yeah,
you understand the context and the framework in which the word is being used.
Things are different now because influence is very different. We're influenced in different ways other than just music now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, I think the album is great.
Thank you.
Obviously.
Thank you.
I thought it was awesome, which, I'm not your average fan, meaning like, I'm not very well versed in rap. I just know that I grew up in the 90s, like I told you before. So that's my frame of reference. Like when someone tells me rap, I'm like, okay, this is what I know, right. And listening to it, it's incredible. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about some of the tracks. So Intro Overtime, it's awesome.
Thank you.
I was trying to remember if I had seen an artist do something like that lately, and I don't think so.
Yeah, no one does. Like when you used to, and these are the old days where you go into a store and you buy the cassette tape or the CD or whatever, you pop it in. Yo, this my album. Thank you for ripping off the plastic and buying it out. Yeah, this what you finna hear. And whatever story they're gonna tell with it. No one does intros anymore like that.
No. When I started it, I was like, wait, what? There's an intro? It was perfect.
Yeah. So I called it my sales pitch.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
So Exhale. There are a lot of themes that you tackle in that one song.
Yeah. I had a lot to get off my chest.
Yeah. It's incredibly written. You use a lot of, metaphors and a lot of big topics that you tackle here. So let's start with flex culture. What do you think flex culture is so prevalent, nowadays?
Again, it all, and that's not to say rappers or whoever that was rich and famous didn't flex, but I feel like now people judge someone's success off of that. If you can be a millionaire, but guess what? What are you wearing? We can't tell. What are you driving? We can't tell. You ain't wearing a jewelry. I know I got a small little chain there. And this is my grandfather's watch, but I don't have diamonds.
Awesome.
Yeah, he just passed away recently, a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That's elements of life.
He's obviously here with you.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't have 15 different chains and watches with diamonds and teeth and all that or whatever. I don't need to show who I am or what I work for. I know what's in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I know what my credit score is. You focus on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But people judge success off of that stuff. And if you're not flexing it, they feel like you don't got it. And especially nowadays, you know, people feel like they can go to your Instagram and your whatever, and based off of what that's like your profile, you can literally tell everybody what they need to know about you just off of that.
That's true.
Off of the stuff you post. Now, the problem is if you post a lot of things with materialistic things on there and it's not real and most guys faking it, then it's like when they see you in person, if they get to know you personally and they feel, well, damn, so what is all this that you're posting and it's not it? You lose credibility and you lose, you know, your authenticity. That's why it's always good to stay true to yourself. They say the richest man in the room is the quietest man in the room, not the loudest. You know, so people don't understand that, but I've never been that guy. I'm a simple guy. I don't need all that stuff. You know, all that matters to me is the music and the content.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it shows.
Right.
It shows in the quality of the music and the content. So in Exhale, you also talk about judgment and stereotypes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, they judge us from afar until they get to know us. Mm-hmm. And that could be anybody. Mm-hmm. But see, the reason why I use these terms the way I use them and not just saying, they judge me from afar until they get to know me. My music is not for me. My music is for everyone. And a lot of the songs I'm saying we, us, because I want the listeners to say, hey, you know what, man? This guy's all about other people, not just himself. He's not a selfish artist.
Right.
Because I know, guess what? Chances are the person's listening to that song can relate to it too.
I was just going to say that a lot of the topics that you bring up in that song, well, all throughout the album, but we're talking about Exhale specifically, are things that we can safely say every single person has experienced, like judgment. We've all had those moments where someone has judged us from afar and then they get to know you and they're like, hey, actually, I used to think, you know, X, Y, and Z, but now that I know you, I was totally wrong.
Yeah, and that's anyone, men, women, children, whatever.
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
It happens to everybody. So that's why, and even the title of that song, Exhale.
Yes.
You know, you want to just breathe in, breathe out, and release whatever you have going on with that breath. And that's why I touched on those topics, you know.
Yeah. It was awesome. I really liked how in that song you talk about making a difference.
Right.
You know, because it's not just like there's all these bad things happening, all these negative experiences, but then you drive it towards something positive. You build on that. And I thought that was where the genius was.
Yeah, there's a couple people who hear that song and they really like it. The beat is very mellow and whatnot. But the context of the song is more like it hits. Every line hits because it's something that's personal. Right. But I'm using my personal experience to not marginalize people. That's why I never use me in most of those songs off that album, because I know we all go through that kind of stuff. So you know, I really had some stuff to say in that. So now that I'm thinking about it, it was like not all over the place, but not all over the place, but it's just, I wanted to make sure if I go from one topic to the next, it made sense for that transition.
I wouldn't describe it as all over the place. Yeah. I think it's more, you know, and the title for it is perfect. When you exhale, you're letting go of so much.
Right.
Your anxiety, your angst, your everything.
Right.
So the fact that it covers all these topics that a lot of the times require exhaling, like, oh, here comes, you know, that person talking nonsense.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Before we pass, I really like that one too.
Yeah, that's a very you don't really hear about people talking about passing on.
Yeah.
Or that kind of topic because they get scared about it. But
it reminded me of you know, the Latin memento mori, you know, and everything that that you talk about in that song, but specifically there's a line that you say, you know, keep your friends close but your family closer. Your enemies, they know when it's over. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously you could say it a lot better than I. So maybe you should say it.
Yeah. It's keep your friends close, but your family closer, cause your enemies are enemies. They'll know when it's over. They say keep your friends close, but your enemies closer,
Yeah.
right? But I feel like okay, keep your friends close, yeah. Your family closer, because that's what you are born with. You can't choose your family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Regardless if you get along or not, whatever. Try to make it work is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And your enemies are enemies.
Yeah.
They're just your enemies. They'll know when it's over. Meaning when you get to that point in your life where you want to be at, they'll know, you know what, man, it ain't even worth trying to compete with them no more. They got it.
Right.
You know, so
I really like that line because
Mhm.
you know, we sometimes put such emphasis on our, you know, the adversary, that enemy, the person that whatever it's in your way, for lack of a better term.
Mhm.
But the way you say that, it's so true. You're just like, keep them in whatever. They're your enemies.
Yeah.
Like, why do you care so much?
Exactly. It's just and people. Not to say everyone should walk around being whatever, but at some point, and with certain things, you just got to learn how to not care, man.
Yeah.
Not caring.
That's what I
Don't
got from
worry
it.
about
Like your
what you.
friends, your
Yeah.
family, everyone else. What do you care?
Don't worry about what you cannot control. If you can't control it, you can't control it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that song as a whole, I wanted to touch on like, okay, well, we all got to pass at some point. What are you going to do from birth till that date? What are you going to do in that time frame to make the world a better place?
Mm-hmm.
Become the best version of you, help others, inspire others to do the same thing, and just keep it rolling.
Right. What it made me think about too was how a lot of times we these enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
In air quotes, because it's a placeholder. Anybody could be in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
These enemies, we use them as an excuse to stay in our comfort zone.
Right.
Know? This person's jealous of me. This person doesn't want me to succeed. That's why I'm not doing well. Or this person didn't give me the right contact, even though they know, you know, a recording artist or whatever. And we use them to kind of like, well, to put blame, you know?
Yeah.
As like a comfort zone. Well, I'm not doing well because these people. So that's what that line and that whole song reminded me of.
Guess
like,
what? Remember,
it's all you. You could do it.
When you point one finger, 3 points back.
Yeah.
So that's why I never really like. You know, it's frustrating sometimes as an upcoming artist because you know what you're doing should be so great. Example, I always use an example because it's one of my favorite ones. Lizzo, the song "Truth Hurts," "Feeling Good as Hell." All those songs were out for years before they went anywhere, and she was depressed and everything, and because she knew those songs were supposed to be hits. And that Netflix show put that song in that one scene with the girl dancing, and overnight, boom! It wasn't overnight, you know, from her working to get to that point,
right?
But she knew.
Yeah.
Those songs were supposed to be huge, and all it took was a little small window of opportunity.
And she took it.
And it, you know, so I learned that, hey, you know what? If you want something, you got to sacrifice something else. You want to make something happen, you got to go and get up and do it. And that's why I was able to make so much sacrifice and make so much progress recently. Hey, traveling to other states, traveling abroad, investing. No one's going to do it for you, but guess what? It got to get done.
Yeah.
Where's the money going to come from?
Right.
Everybody don't have, you know, an A&R or, you know, a manager that's investing $5,000 or $10,000 into their marketing and whatever every month. So guess what? For the rest of us, we got to get up every day. We got to go to work. We still got bills. We got to live, but we still got to put whatever we have into that. Sure, it'll take longer, but it's a better outcome and a better feeling knowing that, hey, nobody gave me nothing. I was able to do this all, not on my own, like in terms of whatever, because I have people that help with certain stuff. But majority of the time, I'm a one-man show. You know what I'm saying? So
I get you.
That's just what it is. It's tough, but, you know, you got to make it happen. No one's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And let's go to Glorified.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a line in that song. You say if I sell out, I'll be glorified. What does that
Oh
mean?
yeah, literally. Just hey, well,
Well, what do you consider selling out? Like, what
selling
are you
out
talking about?
is doing the norm, especially in the
So
rap culture.
sacrificing who you
Who I
are
am as a person,
for
what I stand
being,
for, yeah,
yeah,
and what I represent. Changing my music style, knowing good and well I don't make that kind of music all the time, and just doing what everyone else is doing. It's like I don't need a bunch of women in my videos half naked. I don't need a Rolls Royce or a Bentley in my videos to prove something to people who I don't know.
that's
People
that's the key, man. Yeah,
people spend money that they don't have to impress people that they don't know. What do you get out of that?
yeah,
You know, because chances are, guess what? Yeah, you might be doing this, but there's 5 other rappers doing the same thing. There's a reason why Drake is still around. There's a reason why Kanye is still around, and a bunch of other people that were in that time period, because they're able to, yeah, they might do that here and there, but they're able to stay true to themselves musically from a sound standpoint and make their stuff.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I can easily do that stuff too. But where is that going to lead me in the long run 10 years from now?
Yeah,
Will people 5 years from now come back and say, hey, that song was good?
right.
Think about Gucci Gang. When was the last time you said, hey, you know what? Gucci Gang, let me go and play that song right now.
Yeah,
I don't know anybody who does that. And it's just not a knock to him or his music, Lil Pump, because he's successful.
mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet, so I can't knock him. But I'm just saying it just shows how
Yeah, the
important it is
longevity.
of the longevity of the music,
Right,
you know. So
right. So talking about Kanye, he's
mm-hmm,
been recently in the news, not in the best light.
mm-hmm,
And I can tell you admire him, so
mm-hmm.
you might be able to
Yeah, him and
talk about it.
Floyd,
Yeah,
those two, like,
those poor guys get beat up on the press so
but that's what
much.
comes with the territory.
Yeah,
That comes with that. Another athlete that's great in tennis is Novak Djokovic. He's Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. They're literally the 3 greatest of all time. But one of them is not as loved as much, because when you're so good at something, people can't even freaking believe it. How can they be so good like that? Nah, it gotta be fake. It gotta be fixed. There's no way. No, it's just this person got up every day and trained
mm-hmm.
and practiced and invested and did whatever to get to that point. Whereas the average person don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So there was even a line from J. Cole in one of his songs that said, hey, if you broke and clowning a millionaire, the joke is on you. It's true.
that's so true.
Who am I who got to get up every day and go to work for 2 weeks to collect a check?
Yeah,
Who am I to say what a rich and famous person shouldn't be doing? They have everything that I want to get in life, at some point. So what my opinion doesn't matter. Like Mayweather even said, and I love quoting from these. This is how you know I'm influenced by all these guys. Mayweather said, hey, opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one.
yeah,
What are we going to do?
and they usually all stink.
Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah,
You need to write that down or something. I never heard that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I used to tell my students.
Wow.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to listen, and that's not to say if you have something to say, don't hold on to it. No, if you have something to say, speak up. That's
it's how you say it too.
Right. It's your responsibility to say what you need to say, but listen too. Just because you have the ability to talk doesn't mean you should be yapping away
all the time, no.
all day, and you should have something to say about everything.
That's why you have one mouth but 2 ears.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're at that level, you're gonna get some hate. Not everybody's gonna love you 100% of the time, unless you're like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. I always say the only thing that's loved all the time is money.
Yeah.
That's the only thing on this planet that will get love from every single person.
Yeah, because
you're not money. Someone's not going to like you at some point.
For the love of money is the root of all. Not money is not the root of all evil. It's just money. It's not evil in itself.
And I'm glad you said that, because people usually say, "Oh, money's evil." No, it's not. Oh. It's your love of it. What you're willing to
do to get it, right?
Or not do, or give up to have this. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a misconception for so many years, and people just say it. And if there's somebody I'm having a conversation with, I correct them, like, no, it's this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know what, man, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
It's true. It's so true.
So,
sorry, I lost my place where I was at. We'll edit that out. Okay, I found it. Any future plans that you want to share as far as your projects?
Well, I'm currently sitting on at least 3 albums worth of material.
You're kidding. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
But one of the albums that's going to be coming out within the next 2 months, and I know that's soon because I just put out an album in October.
Yeah, but if you have so much,
Yeah, but that just goes to show that, hey, it doesn't stop, and I got to keep, building my resume. This next album is called Elements of Life, and it's a collaboration between me and another producer from Miami named Richie B.
Nice.
So I'm the artist, he's the producer. So it's a joint venture. He produced 100% of the album.
That's awesome.
And that's rare nowadays.
Yeah, it's true. Will you guys be starting to perform live now that the world seems kind of back
eventually,
to normal?
Yeah. We'll do some spots here and there. Maybe even travel if it's necessary. But I feel like for this, I don't want to do just the typical spots either. I want this to be thought out and planned. You got to move strategically with things, working smart.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. The songs are basically already done. It's just some behind the scenes stuff that needs to go on before it's ready for release.
Right. Yeah, it's a process, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so it's that, and maybe a few more. By the time this year is out, I want to have at least 2 albums released, and maybe a couple of EPs. Obviously, a bunch of music videos, a couple documentaries as well. Traveling, doing more interviews like these.
Your documentaries are available
on YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay, so I'll make sure that all of that is linked down below so people can get to it easily.
Yeah, just traveling, networking, meeting the right people, staying out of the wrong things, doing the right things.
Yeah.
Personally, internally, with others, and just doing more things like this, growing my brand. That's the most important thing, establishing the brand. Maybe the James Roan brand might take off before the music is even realized. Who knows?
Yeah. You never know which way,
Yeah. I like to use my voice in multiple ways than just music. I do voiceover narrations and things like that. Also, I wouldn't mind doing like voice acting either. I'm able to change my voice in a lot of different ways.
Well, you have a very distinct voice and like bravado to your voice.
Right.
So I can definitely see that.
Right.
That's like an easy transition. Yeah.
So it's a lot of things I want to do. Maybe even down the line, who knows? I film even. I like film. I wouldn't mind directing a few films and shows and whatever. Yeah. But that's later on.
Right.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
One step at a time, exactly.
Well, I'm excited to see all the wonderful things that are going to come your way because you're so talented.
I appreciate it.
And yet, so dedicated and humble, which is not a common combination anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it's refreshing, and I think your music is going to do a lot for people.
I hope so. I hope so. That's the goal.
I think so.
That's been the goal ever since I started.
Right. Well, you're on your way.
Yeah.
That's all you can do is be on your way.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, James, and thank you to everybody who's listening or watching. We really appreciate that you're here. You took your time to listen to us have this conversation. We
Mm-hmm.
hope there's something that you can take out of this conversation. Definitely reach out to James for more. I mean, you're a wealth of information, and there's just so much that we didn't even touch upon.
Mm-hmm.
But and yeah, your music, your documentaries will be linked down below so that everybody can check them out.
Perfect. Well, it was a pleasure coming through. The podcast is really smooth. It's really simple, and I
Oh,
like the
thank
vibes.
you. Thank
So I was
you.
able to touch on a lot of things, have great conversation, talk about future projects and current plans and whatnot, and even got some good stickers. I'm gonna
Yeah.
definitely take these with me, and hopefully, everything goes well with me, and I know you guys are gonna continue to push cultures forward, not just through music, but I see you guys have a lot of different people, like entrepreneurs and
Yes.
just different people who
Yeah.
has a story. And it's just all this literally doing every interview you guys do is helping someone watching. Maybe someone who wants to be a doctor can say, oh, I didn't know you can do this. Boom. So you
Right.
guys are literally every video helping people
Oh,
with the
thank you
guests
for
that you
saying
bring on.
that. I
So yeah,
appreciate
we
that.
need more things like
Yeah.
this.
Our goal is to not just, our our home, our little comfort zone is obviously art, authors with my literary
Mm-hmm.
background
Mm-hmm.
and anything that's related to story and the written word, but to create a space for the community, for people that are doing something that brings a light into their surroundings. So
Right.
like entrepreneurs or
Right. Right.
anybody
Right.
that's doing something that's worth sharing.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely want to have a space for them.
Well, not a problem. And if who knows? I may know some other people in different
Yeah,
avenues. I'll definitely
definitely.
send them your way.
If there's,
Everyone
yeah.
has a story,
Yes,
you know.
that's the beauty of being human. We all
Mm-hmm.
have a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
Not a problem. It's been a pleasure. James Roan, Miss Jenny, Miami Lit, future leader of the next generation. It's been a pleasure. Signing out.
Thank you, James.